I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast. And I am joined today by Mike Allen, the President and CEO of StrikePoint Gold. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the time and to get me here.
Yeah, it's good for us to get a good catch up. 2024 was a very good year. Your company transitioned into Nevada nicely. I'm looking forward to the update, but before we do so, let's give everybody that 24,000 foot view of the company and get them to know who you are and what you're doing and why.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, StrikePoint Gold is a transitioned into Nevada, the world's #1 gold mining jurisdiction. Reason for that is my past history in the state. I've been sort of a specialist in the state for the last 15 or so years. In 2024, we sort of did 2 acquisitions. The first one was something near Beatty, Nevada. It's called the Cuprite Gold Project, and we put a few holes into that. It's a lookalike to the new Silicon discovery in Nevada. It's about a 16 million ounce discovery that's been made about 75 kilometers to the south of our Cuprite project. And then towards the later part of the year, in September, we did an acquisition to a project that I know quite well. It's called the Hercules Gold Project. It's about an hour southeast of Reno by car. I used to have the project about 5 years ago in another vehicle. We sold it off for about $25 million American, and then I was able to get it back for about $250,000 Canadian. Big land package, big alteration, some fairly significant drill hole intercepts, big permits, and we're getting ourselves geared up for an exciting 2025.
Yeah, it's good to have those 2 projects. You did some early grassroots and some drills on Cuprite, but you managed to get out on the project, as I understand it, kick some rocks, and it's remarkable that you sold it for 25 mil and you get it back for $250,000. That's a prime, sell high and buy low kind of opportunity. And it's good to have your set of eyes back on the project, given that you know that project intimately. You've alluded to the drills are going to be turning very soon on it. In early March here. What are the plans for Hercules for 2025? How extensive is the exploration and drill program, and what are you hoping to learn from it?
There's a lot to process in that question, but let's go for it. Yeah, you're right. It is good to be back on Hercules. One of the things that when I sold it for $25 million before. It was sort of an interesting time in the mining industry, and we had an opportunity to make a merger happen, and so we ultimately did while we were waiting for drill results on Hercules. So we did the deal, and then got the results. And up to that point, Hercules had been somewhat of a random number generator. You had hits, you had misses, could never quite figure it out to get it to something that could really hang your hat on. And we tested a new interpretation, essentially backwards from all the drilling that had ever been done, and we got the thing to predictable. And we got our assay results back, and now that actually makes a whole lot of sense about everything. And then the company's gone and it's doing something, another focus. And so it was always in the back of my mind for the intervening 4 years. That's a good project, so the opportunity was there. So. Part of what my role as a CEO is to look for opportunities. Now, I think another question that you were asking is, when we're looking forward to getting drilling. The tentative timeline is early March. There's obviously a couple of factors that are out of my control. One is the weather. This is Nevada, but we are relatively high and close to into the mountains, and so you can actually get a fairly significant dump of snow. I don't want to spend the money to push the snow, so if it gets pushed back a week or two while the snow melts, that's fine. The other part is the drillers are always busy. So when the machine, we're in the queue for when it finishes, job X, and we're the job Y. But when it actually is available, that's a bit of fine tuning. So the guidance that I've been given is about the 6th of May, or pardon me, 6th of March. The rig will go up the hill, but it's gonna be there's some ish in there.
Yeah, for those are familiar with drilling operations, there's always ish in drilling operations. It's like being a musician in New Orleans. When's the show start? 8-ish, 9-ish. And down there, that's give or take 45 minutes on either side of that. So same with drill, it could, that's give or take a couple of weeks, right?
Exactly. There's a funny saying I learned years ago when I was a young geologist and actually babysitting rigs and running programs and all these things is drilling is just is a series of disasters. Better drillers just spread the disasters out further. And you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Once the drill starts to turn, what is the plan? How many holes? How deep you're looking to drill? And how much has your previous experience on the project dictated where you're drilling and why you're drilling there?
The simple numbers of it is we're looking at about a 5,000-foot program, 10 holes. That says approximately 500 feet per hole. What the database that we inherited or got back, whatever, is actually gives us some pretty good targets. And the project had a lot of thinking. What we're going to be targeting is obviously what we think are the most productive untested spots. There's a hole on the what we'll call the Hercules showing, where the guys, when they were sampling, there's a vein that's never been drilled, and when they sampled it, there's visible gold to the south of where the drill pad is and to the north of the drill pad is. And there's a pad there that's never had a hole drilled off of it. So we'll put a hole into the middle and see how productive that vein and that system is at depth. There's a few other targets on the eastern side of the Hercules showing where the veins start to coalesce that's never been drilled. And so that's going to get a couple of holes and maybe get us some nice thick intercepts. And then there's some historical holes with some poor sampling on it, but there is some high grade, and we're going to undercut those and see what we can get. Moving over to the Cliffs target, which is about 600 meters to the west, we had a hole that ended in mineralization back in 2020. It was 39 meters or 1.65 grams per ton. And we want to take another shot at that and just sort of see how far we can push mineralization. And then there's a few more structures that are gold bearing at surface that have never been drilled because they were drilled backwards that we're going to take a shot at. And then the final thought is with our new interpretation, there's another target area called lobes that's never been drilled in the correct orientation. And we've got a phytogeochemical gold anomaly out there, which is essentially the sagebrush is carrying a bunch of gold, and we're going to give that a shot. So all in all, 10 holes spread around 3 or 4 different targets. You're looking at 500 feet per hole. And one of the advantages of Hercules is the gold is right there. It's right at surface, so you're not reaching down 300 feet before you get into it. It's right there.
So you'll know fairly early in a drill hole whether or not it's going to be productive or if it's going to come up blank.
You can. That's actually one of the more challenging things. You can get a pretty good idea depending on the geologist. Like, whether you've got an opportunity or not. There's a wonderful saying, and the person that said it, I'm unfortunately drawing a blank on right now. God created gold, and the devil spread it around. And that's it's just like, that's just so much with so simply. But yeah, to your question, you know fairly quickly if you've got a shot, and then you've got to wait obviously for the assays. But that's part of the risk and the reward of what we do and why we do it. It's that discovery thrill.
Absolutely. So when these holes are done and complete, what is it that you're hoping that they're going to tell you that'll help you move this project forward?
What this program is designed to do is really expand the mineralized footprint of the project. So we're going to be moving, for lack of a better term, the mineralized envelope wider to the east, wider to the west, and then a whole new target further to the north. So it gives us an opportunity to really, yeah, as I say, widen the footprint. And what we're hoping eventually that these targets are going to coalesce into something that is obviously a mine. The Hercules and Cliffs target are the two most well developed, and you're starting to see some evidence from historical work that they will coalesce into something. And then you can say, okay, there's going to be a great big pit that takes in all of these showings. And our drilling this program, it's a small program, but we'll hopefully be able to start laying out the notions that there's going to be a great big pit that maybe extends out a kilometer or two to the north to the lobes showing, and you start putting those sorts of tons in volume in tons into a conceptual pit. You get big numbers and you start to attract big suitors, and this is what the name of the game is in Nevada.
Wonderful. Now, we've talked about historical on this site, and I guess the historical goes back to when you previously owned this particular project, and then there was kind of like a gap in between where somebody else owned it. Were they able to take your data and your exploration work and actually move this project forward? And now that you've come back to it, have they provided you with more information that gives you a clearer picture of what was there than what you had 5 years ago when you were running the project?
Yes and no. So we came up with the concept that it was everything was backwards. We were looking at a series of ring structures, and when we drilled that program and then made the deal, the project more or less got put to bed. So when we were in the process of doing the deal, we made the information. Yep, the ring structure drilling backwards actually works, and then it got put to bed, and nothing was really done in the intervening 5 years. So we put it to bed, and that was pretty much the end of it. There was a moderate amount of maybe just compilation work would be what was done in the meantime. So it's a 5 year gap, and then I'm more or less picking up where I left off.
Okay, so it's, in football parlance, is you punted and the other teams now turn the ball back over to you and you get to go from there.
So this is Super Bowl Sunday. Yep, that's a good analogy.
you cottoned on that. That was why that analogy was brought forward. So
are you Chiefs or Eagles that you're going for there?
No, I'm part of the rest of the country that says neither. No, sadly, I'm a Saints fan, so this has been a pretty dismal football year this year. So here's hoping for the future.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a more of a hockey fan, but yeah, I've did the 10 years of the decade of disappointment for an Edmonton Oilers fan, and now we're number one in whatever. We've got the best players in the world, and yeah, it's nice to have those moments as you look back and it's like, yeah, I spent 10 years walking around with a paper bag over my head. Anyway, we're not talking sports, we're talking gold.
Though it is a good analogy for the mining community, because it's often like being a Saints fan where you have a whole lot of optimism and you're going to get kicked in the teeth and be disappointed a lot of the times, but every once in a while it pays off and it keeps you grounded and moving forward.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, a little while ago was the Roundup and all the Vancouver shows, and Yeah, I took in the roundup, and I love the roundup because it's a bunch of geologists, and you come out of there feeling pretty good about yourself, like this is going to be our year. And then, I took in a short course, and it was a fantastic opportunity. Some really interesting industry leaders giving talks on the capital markets and where they saw things, and this actually ties into how I do business. They showed a graph of funding, the peak versus 2024, and all the different countries. They limited it to the top 30 for junior explorers, and the U.S. was not affected. There was just the slightest bit of like one financing difference or whatever it was, a few $1 million versus 2023, which was a good year. 2024 was a bad year. The States was 96% or 98% of the dollars raised for exploration. Didn't change all that much. And that goes to the thesis of being in Nevada, that number one mining jurisdiction. As a junior explorer, you can always get the dough to advance your projects. And then the other side of it is on the other end, the goal of a junior is, make that discovery and then, maybe build it, maybe sell it. But there's also, because of it's that premier jurisdiction, any senior producer is comfortable in Nevada. And that's sort of the industry infrastructure and history in Nevada. So success in Nevada, it's a premium jurisdiction, which leads to a premium valuation, premium price for shareholders when you go, to make an exit and liquidity event. So I mean, it's interesting to talk about these things because I do have these, the technical background and love the rocks, the geology, the getting out there, the thrill of discovery. But I'm also, it says president, CEO, and director, and so you have to wear the tie, be the businessman, and do the right thing. It's not about the rocks; it's about the business as well.
Yeah, no, very, very much so. And that's one of those challenges sometimes to change the hats. But let's talk about jurisdiction. New president in the United States. He's made a whole raft of presidential decrees, too many to even count. But for the most part, a lot of them have seemed to be pro resources, pro mining. When you're talking to investors wearing your business cap, being located in Nevada, is this improving their outlook on your project going forward? In that the government seems to want to decrease permitting times, increase production, and all these positive things. Although currently a lot of talk, but it's still only a few weeks in.
That is where we're seeing things happen is there does appear to be that there's going to be a more streamlined, I guess would be the word, approach to permitting. The thing about permitting is there's a right spot for that. I mean, you can go out and count blades of grass until you're blue in the face, and the rate of return for that effort isn't all that much. And you can also do a really, we're not going to even look at anything and just go out there and go for it. Do your business. Neither of those endpoints is really right. Like, you need that point in the middle where, have you thought this through? Everybody, and that's where you want to be, because doing things slapdash, shit happens. You get funny, weird things happening. Oh, we didn't expect that to happen, and you've got a mess. Can't get anything done. There's no investment on the other hand. But getting the industry to a spot where it's comfortable. We have to check these boxes. Those are the boxes that we have to check, and then we can move forward. That's right-sized or streamlined properly. And so, both the investors and the companies have confidence. And that's, again, you go back to Nevada with its history, that's pretty much where it is. Check these boxes, we're going to go, we'll approve your project. Different countries, check these boxes. You might even get a project going. God, you hear about what happened with Barrick in Mali, where they had a mine and it's been running for forever, and $250 million worth of their gold leaves in a helicopter. Like, yeah, that wouldn't really happen in Nevada. So I think that we're into a cycle right now where things are right sized. And I think that for investors, a lot of U.S. folk are looking to be investing into U.S. projects, and us working in Nevada is a great place to be.
Well said, and lots of tailwinds to help support your company as it moves forward with its drill plans this spring. If people want to continue to follow your story, the results, and how this all progresses, how would they do so, Mike?
Yeah, we've got the various social media, Instagram, LinkedIn. We've got presence there, and then it's obviously there's the website StrikePointGold.com. Wonderful.
I look forward to talking to you again after these results come out and following what the next steps of the progress will be. And I hope through our travels, through all the investor shows, we'll run into each other and get to spend some time together.
All right. Well, you have safe travels out there, Mike.
You too. Take care.
All right. Thanks.
StrikePoint Gold is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News. The host owns shares and warrants in StrikePoint Gold bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.